Okay, Jim, thank you. Go ahead.
So just a little bit, it's kind of funny. Dan called me up or texted me. I'll kind of read Dan's message. It says, "Hey Jim, at the next club meeting, are you willing to do a little short chat on half cents?" And then the next thing I knew, I'm putting a PowerPoint together. So um, basically, what I did, I thought it would be kind of fun to just kind of do a little. Let's see here. Is my slides working? There we go. This is me. This is where I live. I live in Michigan. If you're familiar with Lake St. Clair, it's shaped like a heart, and above us is Lake Huron, below us is Lake Erie, and pretty much my whole younger years, I was into fast boats, a lot of fun, a lot of craziness. So I did not collect any kind of half cents when I should have started when I was in my 20s. And I regret every minute of it to this day.
Mm.
Now I fast forward and I have a family. There's the old days of me skiing. Them days are gone. So now I'm an old man and I'm collecting half cents. So the reason I started with half cents is because I started looking at the large cents, and when I realized how many large cents there were and how old I was, the two didn't line up. So I decided, well, if I go with half cents, maybe it would make more sense. So most of you know this. I don't want to really hit on anything that you don't already know, but we pretty much know the background of the half cent. They started in 1793. There was four varieties: the Liberty Cap, the facing left, facing right. There's two versions. Then the Drake Bust, 1800 to '08, classic head, braided hair, and all this was minted in Philadelphia. We pretty much know all that. So this is a list of all the half cents, and it's a lot easier than trying to do large cents for me at 66 and three-quarter years old. So I bought my first half cent about 3 years ago by the great dealer Tom Reynolds, and then I ended up buying two more off him just to fill this. I bought a type book. It ain't showing up very good. I don't know if any of you guys have done a typeset book, and that's when I got hooked on the half cent. So what I thought would be kind of fun is we know all the different varieties that are out there, but all the different ways to possibly collect large cent, half cent, whatever you really like to collect. Some people like to go by typeset, date set, certified. Like Matt, I know is big into the high grade coins, key dates, high grade, low grade. So I just thought it'd be kind of fun to maybe throw some ideas. If you could pick up these 8 coins, that would be a nice typeset. That would complete your typeset of half cent. Here's some certified ones that, believe it or not, this first one over here on the top left corner, I think sold for $1,300,000. There's some pretty expensive coins in here. Some of them go for 15, $20,000. But this is a way of collecting. I know there are some of the guys out there like Chad. I think he only buys slabbed coins. I personally like to touch them. I'm not a big slab person. So then you can get into the key dates. You start getting into some of the key dates like the 1794 here. This thing sold for 35 grand. Here's a couple that they'll go into the five, six figures. So if you have that kind of pocketbook, you can collect half cent like this. Here's another key date. This thing, look how nasty this thing looks, and it sold for $102,000. So, and it's all just because of the back of this of being the back of the 97, or they call it the reverse of the 1800. And then the next one, the leaves are up, is the 1802, the reverse of the O2. So here's some die-state varieties. So some people are really into the die-states. The 1804 is a good one to do that because there are 21 now. There were 20. Ed Furman just found one here in 2024, and it lands between the variety 13 and 14. And this is Ed's coin right here. And the reason that you can tell is the cud is broke out under the eye right there, and it still has not broke out under America, the CA. So it's a new discovery. But if you're into dye varieties, that's a fun way to collect. Here's another example of the 11, the C1. There's three different types that actually four. I guess you could get it with no cut at all on it. This one is actually Ed's coin too. You can actually see the die break that is just barely showing. There's only three of these known that are in existence, and this is a fairly new find. Then the two-star die break is very rare. There's about 11 or 12 of those in existence. And then the four-star die break, I'm actually doing a census trying to find them all. So I'm into probably 157 or 160 of them out of 200. Here's another way of this is I think my favorite part of collecting. The uglier they are, the better I like them. I love when the mint makes mistakes and they double and triple hit them, and they get foldovers or a brockage. The more the merrier for me. This is my love right here. I this is my coin. I just purchased this coin about 2 weeks ago. These two pictures in the middle are blown up substantially. This is an eBay listing. And when I seen this coin, I knew I seen it somewhere else before. And I started hunting and digging, and it actually was sold in a Davy collection. And the more I dug, I found out that this thing was in multiple people's collections. So I was this is probably one of my happiest coins that I got in the last couple of weeks. It's if you look, it's got a brockage on it. It's double struck. It's got so many things going on. It's just a very fun coin I'm very glad to say I have that in my collection. Here's a way that some people collect. I know people are just totally into hold coins, and um, you can kind of see how it could be fun, I guess. I think this is a great way to get kids because these coins are cheap. You can pick them up 20, 30, $40 a coin. Um, This was used like way back. You remember, I don't know if any of you guys remember the Whizzer. You put a string in it, you pull it back and forth, and the coin would spin. Um, a pie crimper, washers, all these different things were just, some of these were used as tools. Um, People don't really realize that. So it is kind of fun another way to collect. This is another fantastic. I know, Matt, you love this kind of stuff. The more pedigree and provenance behind a coin, the better. The more background, the more I love the history behind a coin. If I can find a coin that has just a ton of history, man, I'm sold. I'm all over it. So this is just another way to collect. And I guess you have to decide what you like or what you love, and maybe go down that lane and just start filling spots in your collection. Here's another real simple way of collecting. There's a lot of people that just love these old Brunk um, counter stamped coins, and a lot of these were politicians advertising for businesses, and there's books out there that you can literally look up what all these different things mean. And it's fun. I did a little digging on some of this. I enjoyed it, but it's definitely kind of cool. So that's pretty much it at my end. Um, I'm gonna let's see if I can do this. I'm gonna take this thing down if it's okay. I'm still sharing a screen. Um, and
You can unshare on top.
Yeah, stop share, red button.
is it still there or no?
We still see it.
Can you see this coin?
Yes.
So this is one that I picked up at North Carolina. You can see the die break on the reverse, and this is just a fantastic coin. Pictures do this thing no justice. This was one of the coins I picked up, and this was the 28 I also picked up. These were two just fantastic coins that I'm very happy that I acquired them, and I got an opportunity to bid on it in North Carolina. So these are also two more coins that I got to add my collection. So that was just something I thought would be kind of fun, something different. Um, just to kind of give people different ways of collecting. I know Jack likes collecting the counterfeits, and that's another way of collecting, I guess. So, but that's pretty much it at my end.
Excellent. If you want to
I'm
unsh,
gonna unshare. Yep, it keeps going
okay.
up and down. Let me undo that right now. Did it stop? There you go.
That was wonderful and impressive. I don't
Thank
know if
you.
anyone wants to say anything, or in the
Any
chat.
questions or comments for Jim?
I'm actually kind of curious that 4-star die break coin that you showed. How common
Mhm.
are those? And what's like how much would it cost to get a lower mid-grade version of that? That's a very cool coin.
Well, I'll tell you something. Let's see if I can do this. Hold on one second. I'm gonna pop this open real quick. And so, if I could share my screen again, is it okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
please do.
I'm gonna do this. And let's see here. Can you see this?
No.
Try
Let's
the
see
screen
here.
share again.
Oh, I gotta hit the share button. I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go.
So this was my number one coin that I started in my census. It says it's a number three, but it's the first one with the 4-star die break.
I see the high grade's very expensive.
So um, maybe that'll answer your question a little bit. And then you can go and here is another one that's $4,000.
Okay.
So
That's still decent grade too. That looks like it's probably what a mid VF.
yeah, now you want to get into uh you start getting into the 2-star, and here's a 2-star. So you're
Oh,
talking 45 grand.
wow.
So I started putting this together. This is something that I started working on. So I thought it would be kind of fun to locate them all. Um, and
Is the 2 stars the one you were doing the census for, or was it the 4-star?
it's Well, I'll show you what, here's my little spreadsheet. And I did a census population. I started in the 09s and the 11s. So this is actually a picture of all the 11s that I found. And then once I found those 11s, then I created a sheet and I started making numbers for them. Like this is number one, the finest known. This is the finest known 1811 that is out there. It's the finest known. It's sold for $1,000,001.
Oh my gosh.
So I tried to put as much of the history that I could find about it in every collection. This literally takes, when I say ours isn't even a good example. I'm talking weeks and weeks to locate because you have to go through catalog after catalog after catalog, Heritage, every single auction company to locate all the information. And then I just compiled it. And I just been doing that with every 1811 that I can find.
That's very cool.
And this is the 1811 C1 though, not the 1811. So you can actually you see the coins on the left there, I guess. As I find them, I just create a sheet for them. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, I am curious for dye varieties. What are your like what books do you use? Do you use the Furman book or do you have something older than that?
I bought so many books, but I'll be honest with you. Ed's books are fabulous. They are just absolutely so user friendly. I can't say enough about how much time he spent. I don't know if you own any of them. I bought every one of his books. Like that's my Father's Day gift. That's my Christmas gift. Everybody in the family knows order me another book until I have them all. So I have them all now. I'll get this back. How do I unshare this thing?
Thanks,
Is
Jim.
it?
I appreciate
Oh,
it.
there it is at the top. There you go. So yeah, I have I have pretty much, I mean, I have all Ed's books. They're laying everywhere. I don't know if you could see that, but there's one right there. They're on the couch. There's one on the couch behind me. There's like the other 4 or 5 are in the living room. I just leave them next to my chair. And when I'm on eBay, or if I'm on um, Heritage or looking for a coin, it's just right there. I reach over and grab a book and I start looking. So,
They're amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much.
well, thank you guys.
And I think I will take over.